This is Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes. Today, let's talk The Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 7, Afterthoughts. Now, I would have to rate this episode, titled Heads Up, as a low good. Now, the opening starts off with Glenn, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Speaking of which, before this video, I'm going to upload my, credibility in The Walking Dead discussion video. Go ahead and check that out when you're done watching this. I'll leave it in the eye. You could click the eye on a computer or a tablet or a phone, or you can find the link in the descriptions. But check that out when you're done here because I want to hear your thoughts on that. Or you could put your thoughts here, listen to what I have to say. It's up to you, and then put more thoughts in the comment box. Anyway, to start it off, they van dropped Glens Fall. Absolutely. If you watch it, it makes it look like Nick falls and he lands the right way, but I guess they want us to think that Glenn twists as he's falling, because Nicholas does land the right way, it looks like. Yeah. So we are supposed to believe that as he fell, even though they showed it, they edited it where he was falling and he was just about to hit the ground, where he landed in the walkers. So I don't know if it's possible for him to twist like that. I think an easy fix would be just put a dumpster there, a second dumpster, which if he was standing here and he fell and they fell the right way, Nicholas could still land literally across him to where Nicholas's head would be here, his body would be down here, it'd still be off camera, and we'd still have the guts coming out, and that'd make it slightly more realistic because then he'd be by the second dumpster where he could just crawl under. I think that would have been an easy fix, but hell, I don't work on the show, so what do I know? Anyway, next is the window. When he gets up and he goes through that window. Now, was that window open the whole time? If it was, well, yeah, it had to have been open the whole time, but I think they should have added a scene where when Glenn's going through the window, he opens it and he's like, this was open the whole time. I don't know, something. I felt like that was a missed opportunity, but that was not anything. I didn't take any points off for that as far as rating it. I just wanted to put that out there. Now, Enid's an asshat. Now, I can't stand this thing they do in screenwriting where characters have to ignore. That's one of the main reasons why I couldn't stand Madison in Fear of the Walking Dead, because she just ignored everything. Now, in screenwriting, that's done on purpose. Now, a lot of times they have a character unrealistically ignore somebody because A, they don't want to repeat shit the audience already knows, and B, they don't want the character revealing too much. You see what I'm saying? If you notice, a lot of TV shows have characters or movies that will ignore somebody because if they told them, it would be, it would take away a big reveal that comes later. So I think Enid unrealistically ignored the shit out of him, and she's a bitch for doing so, and it made her character look like a complete asshole. Moving right along, there has to be some blooper out there where Maggie and Rick are talking, and I'm hoping this is in the the blooper reel in the next in the season disc. But Maggie, the actress, had to have at least once turned to Andrew Lincoln and said, "I've seen Judith. It made me happy. She looks a lot like Shane." She had to have said it just once, If she didn't, oh man, she should have. Perfect opportunity for a blooper there. I do want to say that second time in rewatching it, I did notice that Glenn was on the track. Now, the first time I didn't even pay attention to it, but I did like, and it was subtle. I mean, it wasn't so subtle, but it was a little bit subtle. Glenn is going and he sees David, who is now the walker, and he's the one who got eaten up on the fence. His eyeball, nasty little eyeball, that could be foreshadowing for a certain character and their eyeball. But anyway, he sees him, and David's dead. And if you guys don't remember, in episode 2, episode 5, the girl with her wrists slit, that was actually Betsy, the girl that David was going. I guess she found out that David died on the run, and she killed herself over it. Now, Glenn finds the note that David had to her, and that's why Glenn turns around, because Glenn thought about Maggie. He even says it later on. He's like, I'm doing this because Maggie wouldn't like me to leave you out here, Now, I want to talk about Rick coming down and seeing Gabriel's signs. Now, a lot of fans were like, well, why is Rick being this big of a dick? Now, first off, Rick just doesn't like Gabriel, and keep in mind, I think some fans are forgetting that Gabriel threw them completely under the bus. Gabriel went Just rewatch up season 5. The end of season 5. Remember, Gabriel pretty much said, throw these people out? How do you expect Rick to react? Maggie had her healing moment. Sasha had her healing moment with Father Gabriel. Rick didn't. Rick hates that motherfucker now. Of course Rick is pissed, and Rick doesn't want Gabriel infecting these people with his bullshit, so he tears the sign down. But not only that, not only Rick is pissed, but it's setting up something in the story for Gabriel to redeem himself. And that is definitely happening. Now, Nick, I thought they were going to do that, but it went a different direction. With Gabriel, I'm pretty damn sure he's going to have some kind of redemption. And it might just be standing and fighting the walkers with them. And if that's all it is, that's fine. I think that would be epic to have him get his redemption by standing his ground and fighting, because he did have a machete and he was ready to fight in episode 8. But anyway, that's getting ahead of myself here. I do want to talk about Rick and Ron. When Rick was showing Ron how to shoot a gun, he says, you're going to be scared, you're going to want to pull up and just fire, but you'll miss, and then you'll be dead. And I like how he says, but you'll miss. Rick then says, you got to hold it up to your eye. And I'm like, foreshadowing much? Because, you know, you're going to want to shoot, you'll get scared, you'll die, you got to hold it up to your eye. It just seems like there was so much there with the foreshadowing between Ron and Rick. Now, I could be totally wrong, and I'm thinking that there's only 2 outcomes here, and one is going to be a Ron-Carl showdown or accident or injury, and the other will be a Ron redemption. And I don't think it can go any other way. I don't think there's enough room in the story for it to go any other way. We have the Rick and Morgan conversation with Carol and Michonne, and I love that little bit of talk right there. Again, it really humanizes Morgan. Before, it wasn't as clear. Then we saw his flashback, and then it was like, oh, damn, I understand. That's deep. But now, especially after JSS, when the wolves attacked, now it makes it more human, because he admits, he's like, man, you know, I thought about killing those people for what they done. I thought about it and I almost left it, but you know, this brought me back. And we do have to understand, and I'll talk about his bullshit in the next episode, because it was bullshit, but we do have to understand how much this moved Morgan. Morgan was the wolf at one point in time. Morgan was the guy who was in a jail cell that will kill you if you release him. And he came back from that, and he tried telling Rick, like, you saved me, you let me live, and I'm better now, I changed, everyone at this table has changed. Now, Rick goes through some shit in this entire half, I believe. A little bit some episodes, and then a lot others. Especially this episode where Michonne tells him, the people at Alexandria are our people. Tara says some similar shit after she saves Spencer. She's like, that's how it works with us. We're stuck together. And to me that was okay, but I feel like that was a missed opportunity where Tara could have said some kind of dialogue that basically broke down to, you know, Rick, I used to be an Alexandrian, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't in your group, I wasn't a part of your group at one point in time. I was the new person who most people probably didn't really want to care to, you know, have along. I think that was a missed opportunity for that, because out of everyone in the group, I think Tara's one of the most like the Alexandrians. She wasn't a hardcore survivor when the governor met and then whatever. She had to transform into that through her guilt in making everything right. And I just think that was a complete missed opportunity. That's all. So back to Rick and getting this point driven home with Tara, Deanna, Michonne, even frickin' Tobin comes up and he's like, don't give up on us. This is going to play heavily in Rick, I believe, in the second half. I think that all this setup is going to pay off in the second half. Now let's talk about Glenn and Enid. In some scenes in this episode, they are just completely unnecessary. The walker scene where she kills the walker and she's like, would your wife not want me to kill? And I understand they got the balloons and they released the balloons later on, and for continuity purposes, yes, they could have had her, a scene of her getting the balloons, but all that other shit just felt unnecessary. And this is why I think, again, the bottle episodes hurt, because if they had the budget to do it, or even if they did it a different way, some of these scenes, like the Walker bullshit, could have been trimmed and had more shit going on. Because of the style, you wouldn't be able to just specifically rewrite this episode unless you added more stuff, which arguably could have been filler. You most likely would have had to rewrite the entire first half. But I do believe that because of mainly the budget, this is what we got. And it's not all bad. It's just not all amazing in my eyes as a huge Walking Dead fan. Again, I thought this episode was a low good, which in my rating scale is just okay. We got Spencer's rope climb, which was cool and very unexpected. I did not think we were going to get that at all. And I love how he lost his shoe, just like the comic books. However, I was a little disappointed because it didn't feel like it mattered. First off, it was all of a sudden. We didn't even know why he was going over there. There was nothing on the line. In the comic book, they were discussing it. They prepped it. It already built up the suspense and tension, because it was like, holy shit. And I know in the show it came out of nowhere and there was suspense and tension, but in the comic it felt like there was an actual mission. In the show it was just like, wait a minute, why is he on the rope? Is he running away? Is he trying to help? What's going on? So it wasn't as impactful for me. It wasn't exciting, I guess is the best way to put it, but I am still glad they put that in there to at least make the comic book fans happy that that scene was in there. And I'm not shitting on them comparing the two, saying the comic is better. I'm simply saying that I did not get the same excitement as I did in the comic book. It just seemed like a more important thing because they had a goal. They were going out to help Andrea and everything like that. And I understand later he had a goal. It just wasn't as exciting. Now, Carol and Sam's moment was nice. I like how Carol said, the only thing that keeps you from being a monster is killing. And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, Sam's gonna kill somebody. And I didn't see it like that. I saw that more as for Carol. I didn't think it had anything to do with Sammy as far as the symbolism, the development there, because look at Carol's face when she says that. It's like she says that instinctively because that's what she believes, on the superficially, or, the only thing that keeps you from being a monster is killing. And then because of what Morgan brought up, that she's still the wall of denial broke down and she's facing, who she is now finally in Alexandria. And once she says that, her inner self kicks in, and you see her face just change. It's very subtle, and that's because Melissa McBride is a very talented actress. It's very subtle, and it's very, very refreshing for this character to get that realization. So again, I think between what Morgan's saying, with what Carol's dealing with, her attitude now, her saying this, I think that is building up something very fresh for this character specifically, and I do enjoy that. I like this new road they're taking with Carol, I'll be honest, more than ever before. Carol is, and it's because of the Morgan shit. Once Morgan says, but you don't like that, and we're starting to see this inner struggle with Carol, I've never loved her more in the entire series than I do right now. I think it's just so interesting for this character specifically, and it's a refreshing turn of events for her, and character development actually. So then we see the balloons and we're like, yay. Maggie comes running over to Rick. I love how everyone's looking up, and we get this music that's, it's happy music, but it's a little dreadful. There's something there, and then the tower starts swaying, and then it comes down, takes out the wall, and before it completely takes the wall out, it fades to black, or cuts to black, I should say. And I love that. I love how the music did that with something that's happy, and then it just brought in an oh shit moment, and the music stayed the same. It was very powerful how it blended so well. I loved it. And I even liked that cliffhanger. Now, my final thoughts and what affected the rating. It's episodes like this where the budget is pretty noticeable. It's the bottle episodes. Some of the scenes feel like they're longer than they need to be, as if they're trying to fill out the time slot. And only seeing a fraction of the cast, not overall, even characters inside Alexandria like Heath, Eric, Aaron, it takes away from it so much. Not even just seeing them in the background or maybe blurry or passing by, just anything. It makes it feel like we're actually watching a show and the characters are just offset at the moment. It steals the realism out of it. Now this episode got a low good, which in my eyes is an okay. I want to be clear here. They do a lot of things on The Walking Dead incredibly well. I mean, there's some very talented people working on the show, the cast and the crew. But I just can't overlook some of the flaws, especially in this episode. And some of the flaws I feel, especially I keep blaming the budget, because I think that is just glaringly true, especially with these bottle episodes. I don't understand sometimes why we are inside in Alexandria, that's only 2 streets. There's a lot of things going on and we see a fraction of the characters. It makes it feel like we are on a set and characters are just offset or not recording that day. There are some other flaws, and now I want to hear what you guys thought about this episode. So go down to that comment box and give me all your opinions for episode 7 of The Walking Dead season 6. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.